Saturday morning, everybody. And look. Ha 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 ha. Ooh. 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 Okay, anyway, never mind, guys. We got to get right into this shit. Oh, we got to get right into this. No, I can't do that. That's uncomfortable. So, Taramps finally released the Smart 8K. And, yeah, this. So, that's been long awaited. And even though a lot of people hate on Taramps, me personally, I started with Taramps. And, yeah, the only one I ever really blew was the 12K. My own fault. I blew that thing twice. And come to find out, you know, I was using the SIMPH, the tuna pouch cells that are getting popular right now. Back when I had them, they didn't have the little cage that you put the cell in with the terminals on it. None of that shit. I had to do it the hard way. And, I mean, they were good cells, don't get me wrong, but hard to build with. Anyway, yeah, I screwed up and I let the battery get really low and I tried jumping it and it blew a bunch of cells out. I didn't know it. I didn't have a battery monitor on the battery. It was in a wooden case, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I blew my 12K with that. I sent it off, had it fixed, got it back, was setting the gains, and, you know, because one whole bank of cells was dead, basically, and I blew the amp again. That is when I was like, wait a minute, something's wrong, took the battery apart. Anyway, that's the only bad experience I've ever had with Taramps, all my fault. If you have proper voltage for Taramps, they are fine, you know, and now we have a Smart 8. Everybody's been waiting, or a lot of people have been waiting on the Smart 8. And the reason being is the Smart 3 is a good amp. I've seen people clamping like 5K on the AMM1 with the real-time power on. You know, just filming it playing music, and, you know, they're getting up in the 5K category. Well, 5K range of power. So, you know, they came out with a Smart 5. I've seen multiple videos, you know, of people with the AMM1 hooked up, playing music, staying between 7 and 9K RMS output power of the amp. That's awesome, guys. For those of you that don't really know what a smart technology amp does, is they basically help you fight impedance rise. You know, even though you have an amp that says, say, 3,000 watts, when you're playing music, you might only get between 5 and 800 out of it, normal range, because of your impedance rise, you know. Say it's rated 3K at 1 ohm, you're wired at 1 ohm. When you're playing music, your ohms might be staying like 5 to 10. There's no way to know unless you have something like the AMM1 that you can hook up and watch, and it'll tell you what you're doing. Now, do I like the smart technology? I actually do. And Taramps wasn't the first to do it. I think JL, Rockford, one of them companies did it back in the day. But what they do is they help fight impedance rise. And where a good bit of this comes in, if you look at the dyno numbers of the smart amps, they're making killer power at 4 ohm. And most of them are rated, you know, most of them, they'll handle a 0.5 ohm. So it's really a big deal. With the 8 coming out, that's going to be the power range that a lot of the bigger demo guys want. And that's kind of where the smart amps shine, is for demo guys. Playing music, they're helping fight rise. So when you play music, that's when your rise goes crazy. The burp guys, they can pretty much tell what their rise is at the frequency they burp. They already know all this. They've already done all the homework, the testing, and they know. So they know how to wire their amps, you know. You know, a lot of burp guys, they automatically know what their frequency they're burping. They have 3 times rise, so they're wiring down to 1/4. Some guys even under. That way, when they burp, they're getting the full potential out of their amplifier, you know. basically, if you wire low, a lot of times, if you have like, say, 2-time rise and your amp's 1 ohm, if you wire down to a half, you're compensating for that. So by the time everything's said and done, theoretically, the amp sees a full 1 ohm load. But we're not getting into all that. We're getting into the Smart 8. I honestly, like I said, I've never bashed Taramps. I've always thought that they were great. And when I got into this time in my life, you could buy a brand new Taramps MD8K for like $350 shipped to your door. That was killer, because, you know, that's an amp that will put out 8K. We've seen, you know, the MD8K break 10,000 watts. So, you know, they're full bridge, yes. A lot of people don't like full bridge amps. They hate them. The guy, Bear Vids, you know, he's an amp repair guy over in like the UK. He actually did a test. He put one of the old HDs, I believe it was, in his vehicle, and he put a Korean amp in there, Korean half bridge, and he had people sit in it, and he would give them demos, and he had a little switch where he could go full bridge, half bridge, full bridge. While the music was playing, it would just change the signal source and output, so it would turn one amp off, one on. Anyway, he would ask which one sounded better, and a lot of people picked the Taramps. You know, I don't know where people get that they're dirty sounding, whatever. Said they didn't play lows. That's what he was playing in the video. You might want to go check it out. Bear Vids is the name of his YouTube, if you don't know. But anyway, with that, you know, there's so many like myths about full bridge amplifiers and the Taramps in general. Myths that they catch on fire. Yes, some have. A lot of full bridge amps catch on fire. A lot of half bridge amps catch on fire. And the majority of the problem they had when they came out is they were so cheap compared to the Korean or the half bridge amps, that guys that had like, you know, 4-gauge OFs or a CCA wire from under the hood to a regular car battery in the back, they thought that was proper electrical for an 8K. They would buy the 8K, and of course it would blow and catch fire. Which any amp would do that. It's just they couldn't afford to do it with a half bridge, you know. So most time if you're spending half bridge amp money, you've spent electrical and you kind of know what you're doing. But anyway, we're not really here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Smart 8. Now that I've kind of told you how the Smart amps work and helping fight rise, what are we expecting from the Smart 8? If we've seen 9K on music out of a Smart 5, I think that realistically we should expect, like, on music, 12, 13K playing on music. That's a big deal, because y'all know my 8Ks, I've done series of tests with one of my 8Ks on this channel, and you know, at 2 ohm I was seeing over 8K. So that's like, it was doing its rated power at 2 ohm. I have got up to 14K out of it on burp. That is burp. So that's not in the music range. When I actually tested my amps playing a demo song after I got all that power out of them burps, when I played music for like demo, what did I see? 3 to 4K, you know? So I'm thinking that by that Smart 8 helping fight rise, you know, that could make a lot of people louder. Like, definitely. Hell, I'd love to throw one in here on these 312s. That would just be stupid, you know. I think I would see a big increase in what this system in here does, you know. But somebody already threw it out there. We're going to talk about it. The Smart 8 versus the JP83. The JP83 ain't no joke, guys. That's a badass amp. And I have to hand it to JP and his team, you know, for what they're doing. Because Jacob Scott, his guy that's doing the amp designs and everything, they really did their homework. And a lot of people hate JP. You have to respect his drive. I mean, when he wanted to do his own line of products, he stepped outside of the box. He wasn't going to like JLD, Chinese subwoofer manufacturer, and like looking at pictures in their catalog and like, yeah, put it down for sound logo on this, send it to me. He wasn't going to Team Pie and getting these cheap Chinese amps. He actually, you know, Jacob Scott helped design the amps with input from other people that really knew the amp game. And they made badass amps, you know, so they changed it up. They didn't follow what the normal companies are doing. They actually changed it up. So, yeah, hats off for that shit, guys. You know, love or hate JP or just like him, whatever, you cannot deny the he's changing the game. He's really creating a solid brand for himself. And I'm not talking a brand to store, I'm talking like brand to car audio. Now, the two amps are in teetotal different categories. You know, one, you have a big half-bridge Korean monster that is probably at least a 12K. Who knows, you know, labeled as an 8300. And then you have the Taramps, you know, Smart Technology, full bridge. They're two different amps, two different categories. And at the end of the day, the full bridge technology, all it is like they take one board, pretty much mirror two amps, one on each side. They share some components, and they basically, it's like strapping two half bridge amps together, but they're strapped in one case. Now, I don't know how the damn Smart Technology works, but that's basically what a full bridge amp is, and that's kind of why they call it a full bridge, and the other one are half bridge. Because if you take two half bridge amps, strap them, one amp basically becomes negative, one becomes positive. They've already done it on the full bridge amps inside of the heatsink. But the JP83 versus the Smart 8, in my opinion, the JP83 is going to put out more power total. But as I was giving you an example earlier, I was making all this power on burps, so when it came down to music, I was lacking a lot, like a lot. I think that music-wise and for demo, I think that the Smart 8 would probably get it. Because, you know, you have that factor in there of the Smart Technology helping fight the rise. And I think for music, the Smart 8 would probably come out on top. A lot of people would disagree with me because a lot of people, one, they hate Taramps. They are and I love the JP83's guy. I love all of his amps. I mean, they have done great. But at the end of the day, what it's going to come down to is that Smart Technology is really going to help fight that rise, and you're going to make more power on music. So if I was given the choice, I would probably take the JP83 just because they're badass amps. But we're not talking about that. If I'm going to like really be serious, build just a monster demo build, and honestly, I would probably choose the Smart 8s. I think that you would edge out a little bit. Just with the power for demo. For burp scenarios, all day long, the JP83. For quality of build, I'm talking build quality, we're leaving numbers out of the equations, guys. Just build quality, hands down, the JP83, it's going to take it all day. But then you got to factor in price. The JP83, it probably costs more than a Smart 8. Well, I don't know, I ain't seen prices on the Smart 8 yet. And Taramps has been getting pretty damn expensive. Like, what is an MD8K now? You know, like I said, back in the day, you could buy a brand new and $350 shipped. I think the last I seen, they were like $600, guys, for a Taramps MD8K. They did put dual inputs on it, which that was desperately needed. But actually, when I ran mine, I had 4-aught. Yeah, the input on an MD8K would accept 4-aught. But I don't know anything about this new Smart 8. Like I said, I would love to have one to throw in here to test. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. Guys, I'm not a professional at this shit. I just speak what I have from experience. I On music, I think you'd make more power with the Smart 8 because of the technology to help fight impedance rise. Build quality, massive total power output, JP83 all day. I don't even think it's a comparison because you have two way different classes of amplifiers, and really it's hard to compare them when they're so different. So, guy just drove by. Anyway, I'm gonna cut this off. I just wanted to talk about it because a lot of you people have been waiting on the Smart 8 to be released. I know for like a year I've been anxious to see it released. I knew it was coming, I didn't know when. Apparently they waited to unveil it at Slamology, so now we're gonna start seeing tons of posts about it. But if you ain't seen it on Facebook, you heard it here first, and we discussed it first, I guess. Hell, I don't know. Anyway, guys, peace out, and as always, bass on.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even